Hey, my name is Hari, and today I have two wonderful guests here from Coinbase. It's an organization that has been building in crypto since 2012. In fact, it's an organization that has been pushing crypto for a very long time. And it's a company that has to manage hundreds of billions of dollars. And you can imagine the level of security and risk and tolerance that you have to manage this much amount of money and volume. And today we want to talk a little bit about their new book bounty program that they launched with Cantina. But before getting there, let's start with some introductions. My name is Hari. I'm one of the founders and the CEO of Cantina. I used to work at the Ethereum Foundation before building the Solidity compiler. In fact, yesterday was Solidity's 10th year anniversary. Uh, but I will pass it off to Shashank next.
Yeah, hi, I'm Shashank. I've been at Coinbase for about 3 years. I work on blockchain security. I'm part of Anmol's team, and specifically, I focus on the security of Base.
Awesome. And Mo?
Awesome. Hello, everybody. My name is Anmol Malhotra. I have the pleasure to lead product security for Coinbase and also blockchain security for Coinbase. And super excited to be here today to be talking about our new bug bounty program, which we launched from with Cantina.
Okay, this is great. I think the first question I want to ask is, well, Coinbase is not new to bug bounty programs. You've had bug bounty programs for a very long time, I think since the early days of Coinbase. Why do you set up a completely new bug bounty program today focused on on-chain assets?
Yeah, no, Harry, I'm glad you asked that. It's a great question. So, giving a little bit of a background, so we've been running Bug Bounty for more than a decade now. We have our trusted partner with HackerOne, one of the most top-rated efficiency programs on HackerOne. In the last 10 years, we've had hundreds of researchers. We paid over $2.3 million in bounties in total. So it's not new for us. What this launch is basically emphasizing is exclusivity or our focus on the security researcher community, especially for on-chain assets. So as the pace of development accelerates within Coinbase, and our goal is to get 1 billion users on the platform and get everybody on chain, and the rest of the ecosystem is growing up as well. We believe that it is very imperative, it's very important to have the right set of eyes, the right set of skill set, the right set of people who understand the technology, understand on chain, to look at these assets so that we can have wider defense, right? I strongly believe in bug bounty, right from my days from Microsoft to Uber to Amazon to Coinbase, that you should have obviously strong internal security teams, but having the wider net of the worldwide researcher community looking at your assets is the best thing you can do. So for this particular launch, which we're doing with you guys, is essentially opening up our entire on-chain products and assets to these security researchers so that we can align the right skill set to the right assets and get the right engagement out there. So this is essentially the continuation of our commitment to our security research community, which we appreciate and we've been working very closely with. Yeah.
This is great, especially knowing that over the last decade or so, Coinbase has paid millions of dollars in bounties. This is like history on every security researcher want to see that history of like these large payouts, and seeing one of the largest big bounties in the space for an exchange is awesome to hear and awesome to see. The next question, let's maybe start with Shashank this time. Coinbase, obviously has a very high security standard, and as an organization that has to deal with hundreds of billions of dollars, the expectations are very high. Can you talk more about, your process and how do you maintain such a high bar where your customers' assets are protected?
Right. A great question. And I'll kind of focus more on launching on-chain products. And as one would expect, these products go through a series of internal and external audits. We have a very strong internal security team too, that does research in on-chain security. So they audit our smart contracts, and then our smart contracts go through external audits as well. We have worked with a number of security vendors in the past, like Cantina, of course, is a big partner, but we have worked with other external auditors as well. And going beyond smart contract audits, we do a number of other things to secure on-chain development at Coinbase. Everything that is built at Coinbase goes through architecture review, risk analysis, threat modeling exercise. We have tools that developers can use to catch bugs at an early stage. And then at the time of deployment and execution, we have a bunch of security checks that we do to make sure things are deployed correctly. We execute them in the correct manner. And finally, once contracts are deployed on chain, they have to be monitored on a regular basis, and we have to be prepared for any incidents that might happen. Uh, and now we are launching a new bug bounty program, so we have even more eyes on anything that goes on chain. I would also highly recommend people to check out a presentation that we gave as part of the new security sessions we have started on Build on Base. There is a great presentation from Alexis Williams on smart contract SDLC, so go check it out.
Yeah. Plus one. Let me add a little bit color more there. As Shashank mentioned, right, what he articulated essentially is a deep SDLC process, so security development lifecycle process. So to be honest with you, the fundamentals from Web 2, Web 3 in terms of the process doesn't change. Right, you have to do those right things, the fundamental things, right from a design, threat modeling, right tooling, right guidance to the developers, and right from deployment and post operations as well. So we follow the SDLC, making sure the defense in depth, and we have internal checks, and then the bug bounty comes in from a external lens perspective, where um, ideally, in an ideal world, we would love to have no bugs once internal SDLC is completed. That's our goal. But in a real world, there are nuances, there are bugs which get overlooked, and that's where the external researcher community helps us protect. But we take every input from that community very seriously, and we do a retro to make sure why didn't we catch it, right? So that's the loop, that's the feedback loop. We do that.
Okay, that is great advice, especially on focusing on building early on. Especially because base is is focused on builders. Every builder can learn a few things on how Coinbase is doing security on base itself, so they can avoid costly mistakes down the line. This is great advice. And to Anmol, why did you choose Cantina to host the book bounty program?
So Harry, I mean, yeah, there are few elements in there in our decision making. Right, we did a lot of evaluation, as you know, in terms of the potential partners in the space. One of the big things, which obviously we go back in time, the trust relationship with Cantina and Spearbit has stood the test of time. We are strong partners. We have done multiple on-chain security engagements, audits, high quality audits, I must say. There's the output and the quality of the reports is much appreciated and respected by our engineering community. So that was one reason why. The another big reason is to ensure that we, as I said earlier, align the assets, align the right things we want to test to the right skill set in the community, and we believe that Cantina is getting the coverage, or the researchers we want to go in front of, they are on the platform. So connecting the two was very important. Um, then I would say the last but not the least, just to expanding my for a first point, I think in the past our experience has been that the audits we have done with you guys, we have identified interesting bugs, high quality bugs. So I think that reputation and the structure of the program when we evaluated felt in place in terms of our goals and needs, and that's why we picked Cantina. So
That's awesome to hear. And let's talk a little bit more about the program itself. Shashank, do you want to talk about the scope of the program, what assets are interesting, and maybe like you can point out your interesting, well, what assets you would want secure researchers to look at in particular.
Right. Uh, so first of all, at a high level, anything that Coinbase deploys on chain, it's part of the scope in connection to any product. Uh, and in the program, we have defined two tiers, tier zero and tier one. Tier zero has some of our bigger assets. It has Base, CBBTC, and CBETH. And tier one is basically everything else, all the smart contracts in connection to any product that's not Base or CBBTC or CBE. So what does tier one has today? It has a number of different things. Uh, our smart wallets, our identity infrastructure on chain, meaning base names. We have verifications. We have verified pools. We have app chains. We have smart contracts deployed in connection to commerce and payments and the Coinbase developer platform. Recently, we launched a commerce protocol in partnership with Shopify. So that's also in the scope. And then we have various types of fungible and non-fungible assets. We have been launching various types of wrapped assets beyond CBBDC and CBETH, right? So those are part of tier one. And then we have contracts that might facilitate integrations with protocols on chains. All of that is in the scope today, and we are building more and more. So you would see new products coming out of Coinbase, very Web3 native, and they would be part of the scope as well. Yeah, so there is a huge diversity there.
I can definitely concur on the Shashank's comment that Coinbase is building a lot. We've been working with Coinbase for the last 2 years, and the velocity at which like the base team is shipping is like incredible. So I can imagine like the scope will increase over time, and it just gets more and more interesting for secure researchers. So always pay attention to uh, the scope and the new assets that gets added, because I can imagine in like 6 months it's gonna be way more um, looking at the pace. So
Definitely.
going back to Anmol, what do you think is unique about this bug bounty program? You're a veteran in security. You've worked at Microsoft, like Uber, and all these places, and seen how they do bug bounty programs. And what's really unique about this one?
I would say the fundamental approach or the fundamental program is still intact or still the same. It is essentially casting a wide net and believing that we as defenders we have to join hands with the security researchers, and so that remains intact. What is unique about this is I think the on-chain aspects and the number of smart contracts, number of products we have already launched and we are accelerating launching in the future. So it gives a lot of diversity and a lot of scope for the security researchers to go and deep dive and attack and find bugs. So it's more interesting. It's that there's a wide variety of assets that the researchers community would like to, play with. That's one. The other one is again from a bounty. Top bounty is like 5 million, and there's a reason for that. Some of these fundamental contracts, some of the fundamental on-chain products, we aim to serve to billions of users. So you are not only helping protect Coinbase, but you're helping protecting the ecosystem at large. So from an impact perspective and from a um, you know wall of a fame perspective, this is definitely a star you want to have on your researcher resume, if you will. um, and yeah, so I think that's the unique. There are certain things which are common, and there are certain things which are unique. I think the opportunity for the next wave of technology, innovation and helping protect that innovation is unique, but it is grounded on the aspect of our appreciation of the security research community, so that remains intact.
It's great advice. And something I've learned working with a lot of top secure researchers is they like definitely the bounty amounts matter, but for a lot of the top ones, it goes beyond that. They wanna create impact. They want to see that, hey, this top protocol that they use every day is secure. So it's awesome to hear that Coinbase is also aligned in that page where you're not just like, finding bugs and very important software. It's also gonna impact probably billions of users and like hundreds of billions of dollars in the future. Um, so taking a step back and talking about the future of crypto in some sense. We're hearing, crypto is a big topic in the US these days, and we hear a lot of institutional adoption as well. And I want you to talk about a little bit more about how these bug bounty programs increase trust among institutions, among customers that are completely new to crypto. So can you talk a little bit about how do you think about security and bug bounty and others in building trust with your customers, with new institutions, new people that are coming into crypto?
Yeah, I can take a quick stab and then give it to Shashank for additional comments. I think zooming out, um, irrespective of the customer base, right? I mean, we definitely have high bar for institutional customers, but I think the way I think about this is, you know, there needs to be the security bar for the product period, right? Irrespective of the customer. But if I zoom out and I think about, right, we there's a lot of building we are doing in the open, and this is very similar to securing in the open, right? So we build in the open, we secure in the open, in the sense that we uh, absolutely use our internal SDLC processes, which are catered towards defense in depth. Making sure the right processes and tools are followed, best practices are followed, best blockchain security development standards are followed. But then when a when a chain or a protocol, or when an application is tested by hundreds of external unbiased set of eyes, which are experts, that gives a different level of assurance to the rest of the world, that it has been battle tested, it has been validated by the researcher community for X period of time, right? So that assurance, I don't think so that can match, that level of assurance can be matched by any other, um, because I think the unbiased opinion matters a lot here. And again, as I said, it's very akin to, or very similar to, build in the open and build and secure in the open, right? So we have also started to do some of the our own research and audits we are doing for protocols, and we are also sharing that externally as well. That also gives a level of assurance to the rest of the ecosystem using that protocol, saying, hey, X and Y, we looked at it, and it is battle tested. So I think again is the fundamental of open community that reinforces our commitment to operational transparency. And then yes, it does help and external stakeholders looking at this from a additional trust perspective. So Shashank, I don't know if you have anything to add there, but just
No, I think you covered everything very, very well. I'll just echo Anmol's message. One of Base's core philosophies is to build in the open, and in the spirit of that, we want to do security in the open as well. So we have, in the past, we have been publishing our audit reports, even internal audit reports. And so internally, people are very engaged. Externally, uh, we get inputs from third parties. And now anybody anybody in the community can provide their inputs on what they think about the security of our contracts. So this would further reinforce trust in the products that we are building on chain.
Okay, this is awesome. Let's say we were to travel 1 year into the future and like look back. How would you define like success for this program? Like, what would you say is what would you say would well, like, let's say you say that, hey, like, I found this bugs or I did not find this bug. What would you say is like success for you? Is it like
yeah.
finding serious bugs or not finding any bugs? Like, what is it?
I would love to, by the way, look into the future. So whatever you were talking about, let's just talk async because that's something which I think we both can use. uh, Jokes apart, I think the success for the program is multifold. Number one, in my opinion, is the engagement, the healthy engagement, the collaboration, the right set of researchers looking at our assets. So the engagement metrics, the engagement is number one, in my opinion. The second one is essentially the number of high quality findings we are getting through the engagement. So one is the breadth, one is the depth, essentially. So I think those two are most important. And then the third one is just building additional stronger ties with the security researcher community from us, so we giving back to the community, if you will, right? There is also one another, our goals, which we are starting to do a little bit as well, and we'll be focusing more as we go forward. It's kind of indirectly connected, but we want to do more for the community, right? So we're already working with establishing standards. We are doing series like Shashank talked about. We're doing a weekly series for base builders to do, security and best practices. And I think as we engage more with security researchers, there's a feedback loop. There will be opportunities to do more partnerships in the future. So I think that's something which we don't know what that'll look like, but I'm optimistic in terms of there'll be more opportunities to do more. So those are the three things essentially: engagement, uh, quality submissions, and then deeper security researcher partnerships.
Right. Shashank, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And and if people have feedback about the program, that's also always welcome, right? If someone wants to would like to see a different program structure, different reward structure, we would happy to get feedback from them and kind of consider those things in the next iteration of the program. Uh, so yeah, happy to get feedback from the community and uh, run the program in a way that is best for the community.
Okay, awesome. Um, Maybe like final question to both of you. How do you think Bhagwan is like a very crucial step in securing your on-chain assets or off-chain assets? What do you think is the next progression from Bhagwan? Like, how do you think you can take security to the next stage?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that, Harry. So I think I alluded to that a little bit previous in my previous response. Uh, my goal is to again give back to the community and work together in not only securing Coinbase, but also helping the rest of the ecosystem share what we learned the hard way, right? So I think there are multiple aspects to this, right? One is let's running this program, improving this program over time. uh, we may or may not get the entire mechanisms of the program in V1 right. So as Shashank said, open to feedback, open to adjustment. We want to work what works for the researchers. So that'll be ongoing. So ongoing program improvement, working with you, Harry, would be number one. The other aspects would be how do we take opportunities to share our tooling, which we've already done. It's a couple of our tooling on smart contract monitoring back in the day. We made it open source so that the rest of the ecosystem can use it. We are doing a couple of projects right now. They're not open or released yet, but they're in development around tooling for developers on Web3 vulnerability scanners, if you will. Right. So we continuously look for opportunities because we believe what problem spaces we have right now is the same problem spaces the rest of the developers in Web3 face. So very similar to what Microsoft did back in the day, where they were very open to sharing their tooling, threat modeling tool, entire best practices. So they basically had the MSDN or Microsoft design, practices open to the world because they wanted the developers to build on their technology in a safe way. So very similarly, I believe that we need to share what we learned the hard way, and we want to give back to the community. So I think that will be the next one. Is like there's nothing secret sauce that we want to keep it and say only we will do and we will secure it, and the rest of the world, rest of the ecosystem can go, get yourself compromised, right? So if we learn something and we believe that's why we work with Ethereum Foundation as well. And Shashank and I were talking to them on a couple of our proposals which we learned, which we thought were fundamental to the community. So we're working with them, we're working with BSCC on blockchain security standards. We're working on our series, on a weekly series to share, broadcast our learnings. So I think that's probably going to be ongoing. And we, as I said earlier, this is less about Coinbase, more about uh, defenders on on-chain, economy, and how do we join hands and share information together, right? How do we help each other be safe? That's the only way we will make this fundamental technology safe, for many others to build upon. So I think that's probably the next frontier.
Shashank, this is a great answer. And I really agree. I think the level of threats that an organization that like Coinbase face or see in the wild is on a different level than most other small organizations. And like being able to share that to the public and building these tools and giving it away to the public, that is like amazing to see the community and the industry grow. So definitely looking forward to see that. Shashank, any other comments?
No, this is great. The only thing I would like to add is that we have launched several programs and we are working on several initiatives right now. You would hear more from us very soon. More security programs, more for the builders. We really want and care that people who build on base can do it in the most secure, safe manner.
That's awesome. So before we wrap it up, Anmol or Shashank, do you have any questions for me?
Yep. Yeah, let me switch the tables here. Let me ask you, Harry, a couple of interesting questions top of mind for me. So I would love to hear from you in terms of, how do you ensure the quality researchers on Cantina platform? So that, as a researcher, they have the ability and the freedom to go and be on any platform or multiple platforms. So what are the things you do to keep the researchers on your platform, which is the one key thing to get the right customers?
Yeah, this is a great question, and I think the answer to this is a very long term. Like we have been thinking about this for a very long time. And when I was at the Ethereum Foundation, like part of my role required me to interact with a lot of builders in the space. So I knew a lot of the early secure researchers and early like builders that built really important foundational software. And because of that, we were able to curate this community that was very small, like 3, 4 years ago, to somewhat like big today. So we focused on this very small set of really high quality secure researchers and then like organically grew this over time. And I still have a lot of really good relationship that originated from that time where we still talk about like, hey, this is the thing that they're looking for, some of the tactics. So it's really about like community building, starting with like, hey, the top researchers and like organically growing it over time, and then incentivizing them, like with the $5 million bounty, that's a lot of money for people around the world. And we make sure that these top secure researchers are paying attention to this bounty. And then over time, they share their findings to you. And then after their disclosure period, like they can probably share with the public as well. And then more and more people start learning about it and start hacking on this bounty program. So to summarize, we organically grew this small security community over time, and it really starts from this small set of people that are high quality, and then this hub and spoke model of like, hey, we add more and more people, and they keep looking at this very interesting bounties, and we keep them engaged with all these different bounties, competitions, and secure reviews.
Got it. No, thank you. Appreciate it. I'll do a one more follow-up question and then hand it over to Shashank. I think he has another one for you as well. So I wanted to get your perspective, Harry, on why do you believe, or your 2 cents on, coordinated disclosure responsible disclosure is so important for our industry, security industry, especially for on-chain and Web3?
Yeah, this is a great question for multiple reasons. The first one being crypto and Web3 in general, it's tend to be a lot more open than in other industries. Like most of the software is open source, like almost entirety of base is open source. But this also means that other people can use your code and other people can build on top of your code. So when there's a bug that needs to be fixed, it's not just like a single organization that is at risk. It could be like tens of different of companies that are at risk from that bug. So it's very important that everyone is aware of the incident and there's a process in which this is fixed, before like it goes public. So we have, for example, in the past, coordinated some disclosures where, there was a bug in a pretty important DeFi protocol, but multiple people fork this DeFi protocol. So you have to make sure that all of them are aware of this bug before it is, disclosed to the public. And there is also like all this incentives for maybe two different teams. They don't really work well with each other. So if they know about the bug before the first one fixes it, maybe they might exploit the other protocol. So there is all this interesting incentives in Web3 or crypto that doesn't exist in other industries. So it's very important as a security team to pay attention to it. Like when you fix a bug, you have to really think deeply on who else is affected by this bug. Did somebody fork my protocol? Is there somebody integrating with my protocol? All of them are very, very important questions, and that
Yeah,
makes the stakes very high.
no, totally with you. And I think we also have a play in this to encourage responsible disclosure across the board, um, because I think that's the right directional way to help secure the ecosystem. So we are committed, and I know Cantina is committed as well on that front. So thank you for doing that. Shishank, over to you.
Yeah, one question I have from my side is that so we're talking about different ways in which we can engage the research community. Um, I wonder if Cantina has like organized live in-person hacking events in the past, or if not, would they consider something of that sort in the future?
Yes, we have done this multiple times. And I want to maybe take a step back here, and like I think the security community can feel a bit lonely at times. You are just staring at a screen like all the time, probably working alone, finding bugs, and it can be a very lonely profession to be an independent security researcher, or even like just a security or a person in general. It's sometimes like a thankless job too. Like you spend all the time trying to prevent these hackers from stealing money or data. So we have put a lot of effort into the social aspect of these security researchers. So if there is a conference or an event, we try our best to do like a small gathering of all the security people and put them in the same room and like make friends. But beyond that as well, one of the things we did in the past is with Uniswap, when Uniswap launched their Uniswap v4, which is a very important upgrade to the Uniswap protocol that even companies like Coinbase is using for their verified pools product. Um, this was a pretty big launch, and we wanted to make sure that a lot of attention went into this piece of code. Also, because there is a new ecosystem building on top. So
Yeah.
we organized an event in New York. New York is where a lot of the Uniswap team is based out of, and we managed to get a lot of secure searchers and people interested in securing Uniswap code base to fly over and then talk to the team. We did like a half a day of workshops on how they thought about building Uniswap, what interesting places to look for in a bug, and they had a live competition ongoing with up to like $2 million in rewards if you found a critical. So we got a lot of engagement both offline and online because we also recorded it. But yeah, this is a great idea, and every time there's a conference, we try to organize something at least small for the secure researchers, and hopefully maybe we can do like an in-person hacker house for focusing on the Coinbase on-chain products one day.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, no, that's like very very exciting to hear, and I think as you talked about what's the next, few things we can be doing together. I think this is definitely top of mind. We've done something similar. At least I've done something similar in past life at Uber, but I think as you rightly said, bringing people in person for a dedicated event creates that focus and community. It can be lonely at times, so maybe we should definitely explore a live event in the future. So that's something on the cards, Harry.
Yeah, maybe that is alpha for anyone listening. Maybe, pay attention to any
Per-
of the announcements.
Perfect, perfect, amazing. I
Awesome.
think those are pretty much our time and conversation. But yeah,
Yeah, this was great talking with both of you. Any secure researcher listening, I think this is probably the hottest program out there to find bugs in. And Coinbase has a history of paying out millions of dollars in the bounties. So go spend, the next few months or next few years trying to find bugs here, and you're gonna make yourself a great fortune. All right then. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening and thanks for coming.
thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you.